So, last class we started learning about current transformers. Current transformers help us in measuring large currents in power systems in general, but we can also use the current transformer for other purposes as well. For example, if I want isolation between my measuring system and the measured system being measured, then I can use the transformer as an isolation unit, right. But by and large we use the current transformer for measuring large currents. We looked at the transformer, we have the current transformer inserted into the measurement circuit. So, I have P1, P2, S1, put this as S1, S2, I have the current I1 which is a phasor flowing through the primary, I2 flowing through the secondary, we have the load ZL, and whatever we put on the secondary side of a current transformer, we do not call it as a load, we call it as a burden. So, we call it as ZB. If it is a simple ammeter, we will have mostly resistive burden, right, and maybe a small inductance. In the last class, we looked at the equivalent circuit. We have the primary winding impedance made of R1W and leakage reactance L1W, and a resistance that represents the losses in the core. It is not an actual resistance. R1W is the actual resistance of the winding, right. L1W is the equivalent reactance that represents the leakage flux. Similarly, Ri is the equivalent resistance that represents the iron losses in the core. Again, the magnetizing inductance L mu represents the flux in the core, right. So, the current through L mu, that is the current responsible for the flux, is we call it as Im. The current that is responsible for supplying the losses in the core is Iw, and Im and Iw together constitutes the excitation current Ie. So, I have I1 here, then from I1 the core takes the excitation current, and what is remaining we call it as the reflected secondary current on the primary side, which is I1 prime. Now, on the secondary we have a very simple circuit. We have the R2W, L2W and the burden ZB. I have the current I2 flowing through here. So, the induced EMF here would be E1, the induced EMF on the secondary would be E2. And in the last class we also saw that only E1 and E2, because now all the non idealities of the practical transformers we have represented, we removed in terms of equivalent circuit parameters. The transformer here now is an ideal transformer, right. So, E1 by N1 will have to be E2 by N2, right. Similarly, I1 prime by N1 must be equal to I2 by N2, right. So, we looked at the condition I1 N1 is the total ampere turns that we provide minus IE N1, which is I1 prime N1, right, must be equal to I2 N2, right, or I2 is equal to I1 N1 by N2, right, minus IE N1 by N2. For an ideal current transformer, I2 should be I1 N1 by N2, but for a practical current transformer, the value is going to be less than what is expected, and the amount, the quantum that it is going to be less is IE N1 by N2. So, this is the error, right. So, in general, a current transformer will always have a measured value which is less than the true value, right, which means the error is going to be negative, right. The error is always going to be negative. Okay. Now, we also saw that the error which is IE N1 is a complex number, which means I am going to have an error in real value and an error in the imaginary part, or we can represent it as in the R theta form, right. Error in the magnitude of the complex number and error in the phase of the complex number. Let us look at the currents and then see what these errors are, right. Whenever we draw a phasor diagram of a transformer, what is the quantity that we take as a reference? We take flux as a reference because that is common for both primary and secondary. So, we draw the phasor diagram. So, this is my core flux phi, right. The current I1 will be set at certain angle, right. I assume the core power factor angle is positive, right, will always be most of the time. Now, the excitation current is made of two components, the magnetizing component and the watt loss component. So, that is the excitation current, right, all are phasors. Okay. So, we now know that from I1 I have to subtract excitation current to get I1 prime, right. So, we subtract IE and then this would be my I1, because I1 plus IE must be I1, I1 prime plus IE must be I1. So, now that I1 prime gets reflected, right. Of course, it will be smaller because we normally choose N2 to be greater than N1. We want a step down current transformer. I want to measure 1000 amperes of current with 1 ampere ammeter. So, we put 1000 bar 1, or 100 ampere current by a 1 ampere ammeter, we put 100 bar 1, right. So, this would be I2, and the induced EMF would be E2, which will be exactly 90 degrees to the flux, and this would be E1, right, again a phasor. Okay. Now, the phase angle between I2 and E2, right, we call it as delta, right. Okay. Delta comes because of the secondary circuit, right. So, delta would be equal to tan inverse, right, omega into LB plus L2W divided by R2W plus RB, where LB is the inductive part of the burden. I am assuming the burden to be inductive. If it is capacitive, then I will have to put 1 by C then, right, and it has become minus 1 by C, right. L2W is the leakage inductance of the secondary winding, and the resistances in the secondary circuits are winding resistance, secondary winding resistance R2W, and resistance of the burden RB, right. So, we call this as secondary power factor angle delta. Okay. Now, if I extend this and then drop 90 degrees here, I can say this is approximately equal to I1 in magnitude, okay, isn't it? So, I am swinging I1 from here to here. Now, we very clearly see I should have measured this I1, but I am measuring this I1, right. I am having an error in the magnitude, which is I1 prime minus I1, right, only the magnitude part of it, and I also should have had an angle theta here, but I am not going to have angle theta plus beta, right, because that is what I am going to measure. So, if we call the expected N1 by N2 as the current transformer ratio, right. What is the current transformer ratio? I call this as NC. Let us say I want to measure 100 ampere current with a 1 ampere ammeter. What is the current transformer I need? 100 bar 1, excellent. So, my expected NC is 1 by 100, right. I have to multiply or I have to divide I1 by 100 to get my secondary current, or I have to multiply by 100 to get the primary current, right. That is a nominal ratio, right. That is the current transformer expected ratio. I have 1 ampere, I look at my ammeter, I see ammeter reads 1 ampere, I know the current transformer is 100 bar 1. What do I know immediately? My primary current is 100 amperes. How did I get that? I simply multiplied by 100 whatever reading I got on the ammeter, right. If my ammeter reads 0.5 amperes, I immediately know the primary current is 50 amperes, right. So, that is the nominal current transformer ratio, okay. And then the actual N1 and N2, I have some N1 wind and some N2 wound on the secondary side. So, the N1 by N2 will become this is 1 by 100, 1 by I call this as turns ratio, right. N1 by N2 I call it as a turns ratio, and of course it is really impractical that I want a 100 bar 1 current transformer and I say I put N1 is equal to 10 turns, I will have to wind N2 as 1000 turns, right. It has to be 100 times N2, right. But I am saying that I will not make it exactly 100 times, right. I will not make the turns ratio equal to the expected nominal current transformer ratio, right. Why? We will understand a little later, right, when we write the equations. It is very clear, right. This is the nominal ratio I expect on a current transformer. In general, I will make N1 by N2 is equal to 1 by 100, but I am now proposing that I am not going to do it. I will keep it not equal to 1 by 100, but some other number. Let us see why, right. So, now if I look at I1, I1 is I1 prime plus something, right. What is I1 prime? It is a reflected ratio. So, that would be N2 by N1 into I2, right. So, I can write I1 prime is equal to N2 into I2 by N1, right. Now, I1 is equal to I1 prime, which is N2 I2 by N1, right, N2 I2 by N1 into I2, that is what we got, plus whatever is this quantity, right. So, this quantity I want to find out. Now, I can put this is IW, I mu, I m, this is IW, right. These two components of the excitation current I am putting it here, right. And what is the angle between IW and I1 prime? This is delta. So, this has to be delta, right, opposite angles must be equal, and this is rectangle I1 prime, this is again at right angle I1 prime. So, this angle has to be delta, right. Now, if I have a phasor, this is my x axis and this is my phasor, I call it as Ix, and this is let us say theta, I have already used theta. So, I will say phi. Now, if I resolve that into two components, what is this component? Ix cos theta, and what is this component? Ix sin theta, right. So, now I have delta. So, I am going to resolve this component into this axis. So, now I have this is the component of IW on I1. What is this component? IW cos delta, right, because it is on the lower side. Now, I have I m here, right. I want I m's component on this axis, right. So, what will be? Look at here, this is delta, this is I am having IW here, that is cos delta. So, that would be sin delta. So, I can now write this would be plus IW cos delta into N1, because we are writing currents cos delta plus Im sin delta, right. This is the component. This component is IW cos delta, this component is Im sin delta. So, I1 is equal to I1 prime plus these two components, right. Now, we already know what is the error, measured value minus true value by true value into 100%, right. So, what is the measured value? Okay, I think I made a small mistake here. I make this as 100 and please correct this. Nt is equal to N2 by N1. Normally, Nt and Nc must be equal. Okay. So, what is the measured value? I look at my current ammeter, I see 1 ampere. So, what is the value of current that I measure? I do not measure 1 ampere, right. I know it is a current transformer, right. So, when I measure 1 ampere, I know immediately I mark it as 100 amperes. In fact, in most cases we do not even use a 1 ampere ammeter, we mark on the ammeter itself instead of 1, 0 to 100, right. Okay. So, how did I do that? I simply looked at the ammeter reading, multiplied by the nominal ratio of the current and got my primary current reading, right. So, my measured value is NC, the current transformer nominal ratio, into I2 right, and what is the true value? True value is I1, which I already have, right. Now, N2 by N1 is, what is N2 by N1? The turns ratio of the current transformer, NT into I2 plus IW cos delta plus IM sin delta, right, measured value minus true value divided by true value, I will put it as I1, right. Now, I minus here, this will be minus of, is that right? Okay. Now, I1 I am going to approximate it as NT times I2 or NC times I2, because error will be rather small, right. So, now I can rewrite this as, this is ratio error, this is percentage F. Please remember, we decided to call the ratio error as percentage F, right. So, this would be NC I2 minus NT I2 by NT, right, NC minus NT by NT, or NC, the denominator NT and NC have to be very close, I told you, right. If I want to have 100 bar 1 current transformer and I put my primary turns 10 turns, I have to wind secondary as 1000 turns, right. So, it has to be very close. If at all I make a deviation, instead of 1000 turns I can make 999 turns or 1001 turns, but I cannot make it 500 turns, then the whole current transformer ratio will go for a toss and it will not work as a current transformer as an expected current 100 bar 1 current transformer. Okay. So, into 100 minus IW cos delta plus IM, oh I think I have run out of space, let me write it here, percentage F is equal to NC minus NT by NT minus IW cos delta plus IM sin delta by I1 into 100, right. Now, what do I see? If I make NT and NC the same as expected, I make NT also NC, this goes to 0 and I have a negative error which we decided we will have. What is IW and IE? Components of excitation current, right. But now I make NT, please remember this value will always be negative, that is what we learnt, right. The I1 prime will always be less than I1, right. So, which means if I make NT slightly smaller than NC, let us assume that IW cos delta plus IM sin delta by I1 becomes minus 1%, right. This whole thing is into 100, minus 1%. So, this is minus 1%, right. Now I can make NC minus NT by NC into 100 by choosing NT to be smaller than NC, right. Instead of making NT as 100, I will make it as 99, right. So 100 minus 99 by 99 would is approximately plus 1%, right. So I can make this as this can be tailor made to be plus 1%. Now what is the total error percentage of? Plus 1% minus 1%, that will become 0. I get a perfect current transformer, right. Getting a 0 error from an instrument is always welcome, okay. That is what we need. I do not want any error in my measurement. So by making the turns ratio slightly different from the nominal ratio of the current transformer, we can compensate for the error in magnitude, right. We call it as ratio error, right, because the ratio, this is ratio of 2 turns or 2 currents, I1 by I2, right. So percentage F is called the ratio error. The ratio error of a current transformer can be brought to 0 by compensating the turns ratio to be different from the nominal ratio. We call this as turns compensation in a current transformer, okay. Now let us look at the phase error. Phase error is beta. I expected I1, I am getting I1 prime which is shifted in phase, right. So the phase error beta, right, if I look at this triangle, this is if this is B and this is A, this is the hypotenuse, this is the opposite side. So phase error beta would be tan inverse B by A, right. Of course A I know I1, right, but I need to find B. Let us see what is B. B is the component of IE, right, on this axis. IE itself is made of IW and IM, right. So if I look at IM to be in this direction, right, and this would be delta, right. Now I allow to put this IM on this axis, right, okay. So that would be cos delta, sin 90 plus delta, right, because second quadrant sin is positive, I will get. So that would be IM cos delta. Now I will have to look at IW is here, right, and if this is delta, this is delta, this is 90 minus delta, right, I have to shift IW on this axis, right. So it is in the fourth quadrant and I am looking at the sign, so that would be minus sin delta, right. So that would be minus IW sin delta, right. So that is the phase error. If I want to express the phase error in radians, I do not have to do anything, that would give me straight away in radians. If I have to express the angle in minutes, of course I have to get it in minutes, right, and if it is milliradians, I have to multiply by 1000 to get milliradians, right. So we normally take this to be approximately equal to, because the error is going to be small, right. Even a very bad current transformer, the worst case phase error would be 60 minutes, 1 degree, right. More than that we do not tolerate, okay. Why, we will see a little later, okay. So the beta is going to be small, less than 1 degree. So I can write tan theta, tan inverse theta is equal to theta itself, right, if it is given in radians. Im cos delta minus IW sin delta divided by I1, right. So, we multiply by 1000 to get milliradians, we multiply by a number 3418 to get in minutes, right. So, if I want this, so I multiply by 1000, I think I am running out of space, let me write it here. So, I have percentage f is equal to NC minus NT by NT into 100% minus IW cos delta plus IM sin delta divided by I1 into 100%, and beta is approximately equal to IM cos delta minus IW sin delta divided by I1 into 1000 if I am going to give in milliradians into 3438 if it is in minutes. 3438 was the standard way of in minutes expressing the beta in minutes. It was a standard way of expressing for quite a long time, several decades, right. After we accepted the SI units, right. In SI units, of course, we can use minutes, we can use radians, but radians is preferred angle in SI units. So, we put it in milliradians, right. So, now a current transformer has two errors, right. One is called the ratio error, which is expressed as a percentage, it is error in the magnitude, right, of the transformed secondary current to the expected transformed secondary current. The transformed secondary phasor will not be in line with the primary current phasor, right. The deviation would be the phase error, right, and the usual variables are f and beta, okay, percentage f and percentage beta. There is one small problem, right. I had put the I1 prime I1 like this. It can happen, right, it can happen that I may have I1 here and excitation current IE, and this is, let me put it in a blunt manner. So, this is I1 prime, this is I1. What is the difference between these two phasor diagrams? In one phasor diagram I1 prime leads I1, in the other phasor diagram I1 prime lags I1, right. So, it is again convention, if I1 prime, what is I1 prime? Reflected secondary current on the primary side leads the primary current, then we take beta to be positive. If the, so here this is beta is positive, here the reflected secondary current lags the primary current, so beta is negative, right. We say that the phase error is negative, right, it is only a convention. We have a current transformer which has errors. Now, if you really look at these errors, we do not want these errors to be very large, right, even 1% is quite large, okay. And when we want the errors to be small, obviously what will be small? This would be small, right. Now in the phasor diagram I have shown, if you look at it, this is 1, 2, 3, 1/3 of I1 prime, right. So which looks, if I really calculate the error from this phasor diagram, that would be 33% minus 33%. So in order to see that the diagram is very clear, I have not drawn it to scale, right. If I had drawn it to scale, this will be 99 times and this will be 100th, right. It will be very, very small. Please do not get misguided by this phasor diagram. This phasor diagram is not drawn to scale. Generally I1 prime would be very, very large compared to either IE or IW or IM. Okay. Now the last class we also looked at the current transformer, right, has something called instrument security factor, right, ISF. That is when a fault occurs and the primary current goes several orders of magnitude than the nominal current, nominal maximum value of the current. Let us say I have a 100 bar 1 ampere current transformer, and then the primary current goes to 10,000 amperes, right. When a short circuit occurs, you have no control what kind of current you can get, right. So then my 1 ampere current will become 20 amperes, 30 amperes, 40 amperes during fault conditions, and my 1 ampere ammeter will go for a toss. If the ammeter goes for a toss, the transformer also will go for a toss, because when a current transformer is open circuited, I am going to get a very large value. It is a current source, right. What happens if I make a open circuit a current source? Very large voltage would be generated, because the source would try to force current through the open circuit, and theoretically it will go to infinity. Practically it will not go to infinity, it will go to few kilovolts to few tens of kilovolts, depending on the design of the current transformer and the fault current, right. And that is enough to damage the whole setup, right. We do not want, just because every time a fault occurs you will have to change your ammeter, your current transformer, it is not good, right. So we said that the instrument security factor, right, we call this as ISF. Nominally it is about 2.5. I mean it can vary from 2, 2.5, 3, it depends upon the particular user, what kind of protection system is used, right. Now when I have a system like this, I want to measure current not only when the system is operating, right, not only when the system is operating, but also when a fault occurs. I want to see whether a fault has occurred, right. Now if I look at it, when a fault occurs on the primary side, my secondary current is not going to give me the faithful reproduction of the fault current, right. Let us say fault current is 50 times, my secondary current maximum will go to 2.5 times, right, it does not reflect. So such current transformers we call it as measuring current transformers. The measuring current transformers, as the name indicates, is used for measurement when the system is healthy, right, and the current transformer is designed such a way that it is protected when a fault occurs, right, it is simply protected when a fault occurs, but I need during fault also to measure current, right. Of course I am not going to use it in the regular manner, but I may look at it and say, oh, now there is a short circuit, I will switch off the system, right, for protection. So when we design a current transformer intentionally to work under extreme conditions, right, we call this as protection type or protection current transformer. in the protection current transformer we will not have ISF is equal to 2.5, right, but we cannot also have something that is open, right. It is not possible because even the protection circuit, right, cannot be designed having infinite current flowing through it, right. We must have some value, right, some value, but it has to be, it cannot be 2.5, right. So we may have, so here the ISF or the instrument security factor, the maximum current that it can deliver would be 2.5. Here it may vary, let us say 10, 30, 50 like that, right. This again will be enforced by the user, right. The user will try to calculate what is the probability of getting 50 times or 100 times short circuit current, right. When we design a power system, we also design it to have limit on a short circuit current, right. We intentionally introduce elements in series with the lines, right. So as to limit the fault current, right. So based on that we may have the security factor of 10 times or 30 times or 50 times. Now when I want to measure the current, right, I am worried about the accuracy of the current transformer, right. I want, if I am measuring 100 amperes, I want to measure it as exactly 100 amperes. I do not want to measure it as 99 amperes, right. I do not want to measure it as 98 amperes, right. I want to measure it as 100 amperes. Now when a fault current occurs and I have 10,000 amperes, right, I am expecting nominal current of 100 amperes to flow, and then there is a fault current of 10,000 amperes, right, and even if I measure the 10,000 amperes as 9,000 amperes, I am not really bothered because I know, right, it is a fault, whether it is 9,000 or 10,000 I am going to switch it off, right. So when we make a protection current transformer, right, we normally are not very much worried about the errors, right. The measuring current transformers people make even for 0.01% accuracy, right. On the other hand, if you look at the protection current transformer, I do not need 0.01% definitely, right. As I told you, when it is 10,000 amperes, I do not care my current transformer measures it as 10,000 or 9,000, right. Anyway it is 100 times more than nominal current, I will switch it off, right. So the errors of a protection current transformer design would be quite large, right. 10%, 20% error is acceptable in a protection type current transformer, okay. Now if we look at the two different current transformers, when I look at measuring current transformer, I have the ratio error, I have my phase error, right. When we come to protection transformer, right, first of all we are not even worried about large errors, right. It can even be 20%, 10%, right, because it does not make sense to make a 0.1% protection current transformer, it is not needed, number one, right. And also there is no big deal in finding out what is the phase error when I have 10,000 amperes, right. I am not worried about the phase errors, the moment I look at 10,000 amperes I am going to switch it off, right. So in the protection transformer at the extreme current we are also not worried about phase error, right. So protection type CT, we have the ISF, that is the maximum current that the current transformer can take on the secondary side, and an error called composite error, right. This composite error is IE excitation current divided by I1 into 100%. This is always negative. When I write IE and I1 without the underscore, what does it mean? It is a magnitude of IE and magnitude of I1. We do not put that modular box, right. So, magnitude of I1, right, and magnitude of I1 decides the composite error. So, if you are looking at a protection type current transformer, or you want to buy one, right, you should not say my protection current transformer should work at 10 times the current, and then my error ratio error is 1%, phase error is 60 minutes. That is not correct. When we want to give the specifications for a protection type current transformer, right, we simply say that my protection current type current transformer should work, right, 30 times and should have error of 10%, right. So, generally you look at the CT, it will be something like 30 P10, right. That is a very simple specification the manufacturer will give you. It simply says ISF is 30, the current transformer will faithfully reproduce up to 30 times the nominal value of the current, and the error at that point is 10%, right. The error at that point is 10%. The very fact that the manufacturer provides the letter P in the specs and it does not provide ratio error and phase error nominally, right, the CT that he is making is a protection type CT, right. Now, the current transformer, when I use it for measurement, I can put an ammeter, I can also put a digital ammeter, I can also put a data acquisition system, right. On the secondary side of the current transformer, I can simply put a moving iron ammeter of 1 ampere, right, or I can put a digital RMS meter of 1 ampere. 1 ampere is not possible, normally we have a 2 ampere full scale. So, I can put a 2 ampere full scale, and I can also put a data acquisition system. So, the burden depends upon what I put, right. So, if I look at on the measuring type current transformer, measuring CT, right, I have to give the nominal ratio 100 bar 1 ampere, right. Then I have to specify what are the errors, right. So, the errors again have been standardized by the manufacturers. So, we have the same class 1, right. The moment I say class 1, for class 1 as per Bureau of Indian Standards, ratio error max is plus or minus 1% and ratio error is plus or minus 60 minutes, right. That is automatically specified both, right. And here in a protection type transformer, I have 100 bar 1 ampere comma 30 P10, but that does not complete these whole specifications, right. What is missing? It is the same as any instrument that we have learned so far, right. I do not know whether this 100 bar 1 ampere current transformer is going to be used on 400 volts, which means normal 3 phase supply that we get, or it is going to be on a distribution system 11 kV, or on a mains if it is 330 kV, right. So, depending upon the insulation class of the transformer, the insulation that we provide, we also provide the insulation. For example, the moment I put LT CT, it is for 400 volts. LT stands for low tension, right, low voltage, or sometimes they even use LVCT, right. If it is specifically for a 11 kV system, then we say 100 bar 1 ampere class 1 11 kV system. Now that also is not enough. Why is it not enough? Because all of us know that the excitation current depends upon the induced EMF. If the induced EMF is large, excitation current has to be large. If induced EMF is small, the excitation current is small. What is the induced EMF? E1 or E2? E2 is I2 multiplied by Z2, where Z2 is Z winding plus ZB, right. So if my burden is large, E2 has to be large, and hence IE will be large and error will be large. So the manufacturer cannot simply give a current transformer for all burdens, right. So he has to specify up to what maximum burden his error specification is valid, right. So we introduce the burden as soon as we specify the current. 100 bar 1 ampere, 5 volt ampere, unity power factor. What does it mean? What is unity power factor means? My burden is resistive, right. So it could be that I have 5 VA 0.8 power factor, right, and when I say 0.8 power factor, I also have to say lag or lead, right. So that would be typical complete specifications of an LTCT. Similarly here I need to specify the burden 50 VA 0.8 power factor, comma 10 30 P10, comma LTCT or MVCT or HVCT, right. Now if I look at these two, I have put 5 VA here and I have put 50 VA here, right. I did not do it randomly, right, intentionally I have shown a smaller burden for a measuring current transformer and a larger burden for a protection current transformer. Can you guess why? In a measuring current transformer we will have only meters, data acquisition systems, small burden, right. In a protection current transformer, why is he using that protection current transformer? When there is a fault, I want switch off. What will I connect to a protection current transformer? I will connect a relay, right, and relays need power to operate, right. They have to really move large contactors, right, and we need certain amount of power. Power is nothing but watts or volt amperes, right. So in general a protection type current transformer will have higher volt ampere rating than the measuring current transformer. We will stop here, we will continue in the next.